Hey, how we doing,
Hey
guys?
guys, welcome back.
Joe here.
Kevin.
So the last episode of Mad Men we did was very unique. It was definitely a standout of the series so far. I feel like we've said many times it was very Lynchian,
Right,
and there was a lot of ambiguity going into it around well, one, Betty's dreams, and
right.
two, the guard
The
that Don.
prison guard, right. We were talking about that very briefly. We were a little bit confused with that shot, and we mentioned it in the last episode, and apparently a lot of people
Yeah,
on Patreon were talking about it too, so I want to bring it up again.
yeah.
Um, because he looked really oddly and kind of looked away from
As they're
Dawn
leaving the
as
hospital.
as he's pushing his wife out of the hospital.
Yeah,
My question is, I didn't notice, and I didn't go back and look.
yeah.
Um, if she had a baby with her or not, like, or they might have lost the
It was quick
baby.
the way they passed by.
Right, and the way that, like, he wouldn't make eye contact with Dawn is, did you end up losing the baby? What ended up happening? Because it
So
was such a weird dynamic there.
So, as you guys let us know on Patreon, there's a couple different theories. One of them theories is that when they're in the waiting room, Don and him had a conversation about how the guards can be a better man.
Right. Yeah, that was a big thing. Right.
And so, if he lost the baby, there's some semblance of him being like, well, maybe I'm not a good man.
Right. Right.
And also, Matthew Weiner talked about it too, apparently. And it is left unclear for a reason. And I'm trying to think of what it could be other than that. The fact that he's not a good man. It could just be the awkwardness of 1950s. You know what I mean? Like you just don't talk to one another after that. You just kind of like two men just walking through the hallway.
Right.
Um, somebody else in the comments said it could be racially motivated too because of like he's a guard and I'm not doing this verbatim at all, but has to do with like the minorities that he's guarding in prison and that affects his soul or something. Somebody really went into it on Patreon,
Sure.
and there's also the whole subplot dynamic of who is it that Betty saw in her dreams again?
She saw Gene.
But the other guy at the table.
Oh, I think it was Medgar Evers. I think that's because they mentioned him getting killed,
Yeah,
and how Sally was so wrapped up in it,
yeah,
and they showed they showed a black guy in a period suit,
yes,
right, and he's bloody,
uh huh.
and I'm like, that has to be who they're going for, right?
That's
Was
who it
Medgar
was.
Evers?
That's who
Okay,
it was.
okay, okay,
And so they're trying to make some connection between that. And I
gotcha.
don't know if that's the case or not. I
Sure.
don't think this last episode is that racially motivated. That being said, I want to believe that it was the first option that she lost the baby.
And he's kind of having second thoughts, existential crisis, kind of.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's
that makes the
that
most
was
sense.
my initial thought too, and I was like, dang it, I didn't look to
Yeah,
see really she had a baby, and I couldn't tell.
and I wish I had the Patreon comment pulled up in front of me right now about the
Sure.
whole racially motivated um, reasoning explanation behind that. I don't think you're wrong, and I don't think that you're dumb for saying that. I just don't see the connection.
I haven't read the comments, so I don't
Yeah,
really know. I mean, obviously it's significant. It was significant to Sally, and they had him there in the shot,
they did. They did.
and he was a civil rights leader who was murdered,
Yeah,
at the time by a white supremacist. So, did you ever see the movie about that?
I did not.
I can't remember what it was called. It was Alec Baldwin as the lawyer who prosecuted him later. It was James Woods as the murderer, and I think Whoopi Goldberg was his
Oh,
wife.
oh, okay. That sounds great.
I
Actually,
think. I saw it one time. It was many years
it's like a
ago.
'90s movie.
Yeah, I think so. Something
Okay.
like that. Yeah. Um, but I can't remember what it was called for the life of me.
Yeah.
Just
So
like I said, just saw it the one time.
I
But
would encourage you guys add more input to that last comment. We always go back to comments, so go back to
absolutely.
the last episode of Mad Men. Look in the comment thread, and you'll see what we're talking about. Because off the top of my head, I can't get into it. But
Sure. And I didn't read it, so I'm not really sure. But I wasn't thinking about it as we watched it in
yeah,
a racial term, so I have to go back and look at it again. So I don't really have anything to offer,
it's certainly an episode
about that.
that
Right.
I want to do a deep dive on because I
Yeah.
love it when you have an ambiguous episode. Because what does this mean?
Right. It's very, yeah, there was a lot going on in this. It was very, very subtle and artistically way different than the rest of the show.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that. That
yeah,
was very Sopranos esque. Obviously, Matthew Weiner worked in The Sopranos, and The Sopranos has lots of Lynchian stuff in it. So I like that we had a good carryover in this last episode.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And I've never watched The Sopranos.
it's
All
worth your time. It's very good. All right. Well, before we get into it, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
right. Hi, hi.
If you don't mind hitting that like button for us, leave us a comment down below, and please, please, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay updated with all of our new content we've coming your way.
Absolutely. If you'd like to see the flowing through reaction to the episodes of Mad Men and everything else we're watching or have watched, please check out the link in the description below to our Patreon page.
It's 10:30. Why aren't you asleep?
I'm afraid.
Sally.
I know you're not Thomas Edison.
Pick up your room. We'll get you a nightlight.
Okay.
Go sleep.
I like how he handles his kids.
He is a great father when he's actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know, he's just not doing it enough.
That's the thing with Don, is he can be good at anything.
Yeah,
You know, and it's just he's such a wanderer.
he's been a good husband when he's wanted to be.
Yeah.
We've just been informed that there will be a visit from the director and chairman of the board of Putnam, Powell, and Lowe.
The visit will commence tomorrow, that is Tuesday at 10, and will continue into the next day. We apologize, we realize we were to be closed Wednesday, July 3rd.
The British don't recognize Independence Day.
They do not do that.
Yeah.
Cake for what?
Tomorrow's Joan's last day. I told you that.
Greg finds out about his residency today or tomorrow, I'm not sure. I think they're going away to celebrate.
And Mr. Kinsey, you might want to shave your beard.
What? Who the hell are you people?
That was a joke.
That's great.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
They're flying across the ocean to have their knobs polished.
4th of July. Subtle.
Get
Right,
the door,
yeah.
will you? The British are coming.
I have a theory. I believe they're coming to see you. Study and dissect your work, trying to decipher what is your particular American genius.
They want to bring him over to England.
Creative umbrella with a dual position in London and New York.
Yeah.
London.
Bye-bye, Don.
That does sound cool.
Come over here.
Oh, she's
Go
a little
play.
scared. Yeah, she's really handling this not well. And I get it. Like, she's scared to sleep alone now because her room is right next to Jean's.
Oh, yeah, that's
The
it. I was
baby's
like,
name
why
is
she
Jean.
all of a sudden? Yeah, that's right. She's got a reminder of her dead grandfather.
Yeah.
that- yeah.
My father was the tallest, handsomest, vainest man in New York, and he got his nails done.
I never have gotten a manicure.
Me neither.
Woo!
We don't need to talk about this anymore. I promise.
I was holding out for gratitude, but I'll take that.
Yeah, right?
I apologize that tomorrow's visit will steal from your spotlight. Perhaps we can reschedule your surprise party till after the holiday.
Why did you do that?
He sucks.
I don't remember her being that resentful of Bobby when he was born.
I don't know that she resents him.
Well, she won't go near him. She
She's
won't
scared
even go
of
in his
him.
room unless I make her.
Oh, she waited up to have a special dinner with him.
I told you I was going for drinks with the docs. Anything except that they made Doug Hutchinson chief resident.
Oh, he's not chief resident.
And
Okay.
I felt the floor open up under me.
Is it just possible he's just not that great a doctor?
They implied something a couple episodes
Right.
back.
Right.
He said I had no brains in my fingers.
Wow.
No, so he's not a great surgeon anyway.
Yeah.
So you'll go to another hospital.
Not in New York. If I want to stay in surgery, I can go to Alabama or something.
Joan's not going to move to Alabama with you.
Yeah, no way.
I will never be a surgeon.
So be an MD. Be as in
Yeah,
like don't be a surgeon. Be a
I want to talk about it, Joan.
Yeah,
Okay?
surgery
there's
is
a-
literally life or death.
right. There's a billion other professions you can be as a doctor.
You're not going to be able to leave your job.
Craig, that's done.
Well, get another one.
Wow. He's kind of being awful to her. So is she gonna have to go back in there and be like, "Hey guys, can I keep my job now?" Because that's so humiliating for her.
Yeah.
Because she has a going away party tomorrow.
She's got a lot of pull though,
Right.
and also like she's great at her job.
No, she is, and I don't expect her to be off the show.
Yeah.
But she would have to eat it a little bit.
And you must be Don Draper.
I am.
I can't tell you how exciting it is to finally meet you.
That's very flattering.
He just looks like he hates these guys,
He's a little
doesn't he?
skeptical, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's for our snake charmer. We're sending you to Bombay.
Yeah.
Bombay? What would I do there?
The logistics. My wife just settled, my son just accepted to school, and now we're moving on.
Nonsense. You're moving up.
How is that up?
Yeah, am I getting paid more?
No, it feels like a lateral move for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to lose him, but there's no doubt that our loss is India's gain.
This poor guy. Yeah, even Don's like, what?
Yeah.
So Don is
So as
nope, he's
before,
staying. Moving him over to take Lane's place is all it is.
account management, that's Mr. Cosgrove, Mr. Campbell for the present, and a combined television
Oh
media
my
department
God.
headed...
Mr. Sterling's not on that chart at all.
It's true.
Oh, well, that was an oversight.
Oh my god. What a slap in the face. So basically, they just brought in a new boss is the only real change there.
Yeah, huge slap in the face. Disrespect to the owners.
Yeah.
What the hell just happened?
They reorganized us, and you're the only one in this room who got a promotion.
Yeah.
Really?
For my new big sister, the best in the world. And my goodness, it's from baby Jean.
Oh man, you're gonna traumatize this child.
I wish you caviar and children and all that is good in your new life.
Oh.
They keep adding people above us. One more promotion, and we're gonna be answering phones.
Brad Hilton, the hotel owner.
Yeah, I know what he does. Why is he calling?
I don't know.
Job offer, maybe?
Well, he's like richest man in the world.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm rich. They can't hurt me.
But they did.
They did, big time.
I like he's
That's
admitting
a
this.
mistake. We took their money. We have to do what they say.
Yeah. Roger's the one who needed the money.
Yeah.
Roger's the reason they did it.
This is not a good idea.
Don't worry, I'm sure we'll see each other all the time.
Right, just shut it down. They still had the blade on it.
It was
The
him?
new guy.
The boss?
Don't take his shoe off. Don't let him see it.
I would throw up so hard.
Yeah. You ran over someone with a lawnmower.
I did not think a show like this would get this violent.
Yellow Rock Country Club.
I thought this guy was going to come back. I didn't realize
You fixed it for me. Let me return the favor.
the old fashioned.
How did you find me?
I called around, told people I had a long chat with a handsome fella from Sterling Cooper, and your name never came up. What do you think?
They going to hire him?
I think you wouldn't be in the presidential suite right now if you worked for free.
I want you to give me one for free.
That's fair. Conrad Hilton asked for a favor. You give him a favor. Guy's got a lot of pull.
I like the fact that Don was hesitant to like, I'm not giving you free advice, man.
Yeah.
I don't like the mouse
I don't think
thing.
anybody wants to think about a mouse in a hotel.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
What do you want?
The world. Say it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd love a chance of your business.
Okay. But the next time somebody like me asks you a question like that, you need to think bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say the world.
Yeah.
We had the world handed to us on a plate. And then you swing in on a chandelier, drop your pants, and crap on it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he did.
It's like Iwo Jima out there.
Oh my God.
Despite this circus today, I hope you know that you are going to be terribly missed.
That's nice to hear.
Be honest with him.
Especially from you, Don.
These two have had a weird dynamic. They don't engage that much.
No. They respect one another, though.
For sure. Yeah.
I would like to know about their history, though.
Right.
Because they've both been there for a while.
Mm-hmm. They've known it. Yeah, they've known each other for 10 years.
He was a great account man. Prodigy. Could talk a Scotsman out of a penny.
Are they going to fire him now?
Now that's all over.
How?
He can't walk. The doctor said he'll never golf again.
I'm afraid we have to reevaluate our entire strategy. I think St. John and I should see him if we can.
Of course.
And let him know he's fired? These guys suck.
These people are monsters.
I mean, I don't know what prosthetics were like at this period, but come on, man.
Like a wooden foot.
Right? Like the guy can't work with a cane or a wheelchair?
I feel like I just went to my own funeral.
You did.
I didn't like the eulogy.
Oh, the Barbie.
Oh, she threw the Barbie out the window.
Talk to your kids. Everybody,
you guys-
talk to your kids.
Right?
Please.
Please find out what's going on in your kids' heads, guys.
Oh, that's going to freak her out even more.
It is. Don doesn't realize it. She's going to wake up and see it and lose it.
Thinks she's being haunted.
Yeah.
I'm like a Betty, like, you're never going to believe what happened today. I met with Conrad
Oh
Hilton.
my God, there's so much he has to
and
talk about.
Somebody lost their foot in the office.
There it is. Yep.
He's called Gene. He sleeps in his room. He looks just like him. And I bet when he starts talking, he's going to sound just like him, too.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, the name was a bad idea.
She's jealous of her little brother.
She's
not.
not jealous. She's scared, and it's all because he has that name.
She's a child. She'll get over it. Now you have to. He was my father, and that was his name. It's what people do, Don.
Not like that. Not like right on top of each other.
Really sorry. I didn't mean to wake him.
That's okay, honey. Everything's fine.
I feel so bad for Sally.
I do too.
You see? It's all right.
Cut to the baby. It's like the old man's head is like superimposed on it.
We don't know who he is yet, or who he's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, this episode is full of
There
so
was
much stuff to
a
talk about.
lot going on here.
Okay, so we have. What do you want to begin with first?
Oh man,
I know this is a very dense episode to chew on.
let's start with Joan.
Okay,
She's in a crap position because she had this idealized life, right? That she was working towards, and she did her part.
Yeah.
She did her part the whole way,
gonna
and
get
it's not
soldier.
right, and it's not gonna work out the way she wants through no fault of her own. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not like a rare thing. That happens to people every day.
Yeah.
Right? Terrible things happen to people.
The 60s and 2023.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. It happen to people all the time that aren't their fault. The circumstances just crush them. And this is fairly small potatoes. We're talking about a job. You know,
I think
it's not the same
bigger
as
than the
finding out you
job,
have right. You're finding out you have a disease or something, but it's still terrible for her, right?
It's terrible because she quit her job, put all of her chips on this guy who is forced, which
yeah.
she did know. I mean, she was assaulted in
yeah.
Don's office.
She knew he wasn't a great guy, but then again, you know, I really do feel like that we're getting a good look at the time period.
She's
you
his
know?
mother, ostensibly.
Yeah, she's his mother ostensibly, but like, you know, we know how he sexually assaulted her, right? We saw it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't looked at like that in the time. The only one who knows that that's what it was is Joan. It's not like she can tell anybody else because then be like, what are you talking about? He's your fiance/husband. That's not really a thing. And of course, now we know it is. And we know it's this thing that happens.
Oddly enough, the only person I think she could tell about it would be Don.
Right.
Don would see it for what it is.
Don's the only one who probably would. Don's the only one that seems to have that
Maybe
level of nuance.
Maybe Roger, but I don't think he'd handle it the same way.
I don't think so because Rogers had an infatuation with her forever.
That's the only reason.
They have romantic history.
That is the
right.
only reason why he would be offended by it.
Right.
But you're right. So she's
territorialism.
She's in a pickle.
Yeah,
she has
is.
to be the breadwinner, sort of now, because he can't keep a job.
He's going to have another year of residency to change because he's not going to be a surgeon. So he's got to kind of start over a little bit.
Yeah. She's going to have to leave him.
I don't know how it doesn't get to that point.
It's not a loveless marriage, but it seems like a very one-sided marriage.
It's close, yeah.
You know, like it's her putting in all the effort. He's a child, you know, and it does suck that she has to say goodbye. I mean, it was one hell of a last day.
Yeah, it was, right?
It's pretty crazy. You know what? She's in good graces with the bosses too.
Yeah, she just saved a guy basically. Yeah, on the way out the
they
door.
recognize
she was the quick thinker for sure in the office.
And you know what? Nobody really seems to like Moneypenny.
No, nobody does.
Nobody likes him, and so
even his bosses don't like him.
That's what I'm saying. So if she wanted to come back, they'd be like, "Yeah, this guy
Yeah,
sucks."
oh yeah, and that may be what it is. They
owe her one.
They may like she may go home and try to make it work with like not having the job or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know how because they don't have any income without him being a doctor anymore, or not having the job that they need. But it may be a situation where a month with this guy, or weeks with this guy, or a couple months with this guy,
Yeah.
and she comes back and is like, "I really want to get my job back," and they're like shoving him down, like, "Yeah, please,
Yeah.
God, come
back.
back."
This guy's annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see him being good at his job. He's obviously petty. You know,
very much so,
and
manipulative. And,
yeah,
and,
it's
and
very unlikable.
slimy. Yeah.
Right? Do you want your office manager to be this unlikable? I wouldn't think so.
Not reliable.
Right.
So let's transition to the hierarchy of power there, because if you think about it, I loved how they had them on the steps.
Right.
With you had Lane at the very bottom, then
Right.
you had Cooper, then you had these three guys who have
Right.
no idea what it's like there.
Right.
No idea. And
it's kind of like the Olympic.
It kind of was.
Of like, yeah,
it really was.
But
that
it was a hierarchy for sure. And Roger was nowhere in the picture.
And I wonder if that was intentional on their behalf.
I definitely think. I think the filmmakers it was intentional,
Yes.
right? Or the showmakers it was intentional.
Well,
but...
even from the creative standpoint, I don't know if they can fire any of those people. If they can fire Roger, if they can fire Bert, I don't know how.
I don't think that was structured. I think they're still partners. You know what I mean? I think they sold a controlling share of the company,
Yeah.
but they still own stock. Like Don still owns his stock.
It's like 50-50, right?
Right. Yeah. I think 51%, whatever. I mean, I don't remember what the breakdown was, but it kind of comes down to they sold controlling interest to this other company, which means they have more than half of the stock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they ever said a number, but the other three guys still own
the
They
majority.
they're still partners, so they still have to own some of the controlling interests of the company.
Regardless, they can choose who they bring in on certain information. Obviously, Cooper can tell Roger
Right.
about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's very telling that they didn't have him there.
Right.
And also, I thought it was one of the best pieces of humor in the episode was when they were sitting there stenciling Roger's name back into it. That was amazing.
Oh, there was so much good, like
Humor.
subtle humor
Yeah,
on this.
very
Like
dry.
for sure,
Yeah.
like the cleaning the blood off the window while they're having this conversation.
Well, even back to that. Okay, so they were talking about Oliver in the beginning, and he's like, "Oh, a tragedy that ends well, my favorite kind." That's exactly
That's
what happened
exactly
in
what
this
this
episode.
was,
It's
right? It was
exact-
a tragedy that ended well,
all good writing is based in like foreshadowing.
right?
Did not know I didn't pick up on that. 'Cause
I
the whole
didn't.
time
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
didn't. I didn't until you caught it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, a tragedy that ends well. Yeah, for everybody except the guy that got his foot run over, it worked out. Everyone was.
that was his big day too.
Yeah, it was his big
Ended
day.
up losing his job.
But for Lane and for Dawn and for Pete and for everyone else there, it kind of like, wow, well, this helped. This worked out for everybody.
Yeah, Lane staying. Don, they get the 4th of July
But
off,
they,
which is hilarious.
it looks like they're not getting restructured down.
Can't now.
I think the only the only person they said benefited was really Harry, and I'm not sure that that's there anymore. He might be the only person at Sterling Cooper that's like, this didn't work out for you, buddy.
Well, but he came up with the media department, so I think
No,
Harry's,
he is.
Harry's great.
Well,
you
he's safe for sure,
Yeah.
but it's like, is he going to get a bigger piece of the pie? Hard to say.
know? Yeah, probably not.
With this going on, maybe not, because they did say like at the end is like we have to go back and look at reevaluate all of this now because the person they wanted at the center of it is no longer there.
It might have worked out today,
Right.
but like I feel like in the future, that ruffled a lot of feathers.
Sure.
So I don't think the British partners are going to be super happy with Sterling
Right.
Cooper after that because the worst thing possible happened.
Right.
Um,
Oh, for sure.
Also, the level of violence in this episode,
That was insane.
I did not
wasn't it?
anticipate that being this show being that violent at all.
That's what made it so shocking yet so fun.
Yeah.
And even though it's a horror, I know this sounds horrible, but everyone on the show was laughing too. I think it was supposed to be shocking and oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
It's not just that it's not just the guy gets hurt. It's that they have a secretary run over his foot with a lawnmower and spray the 4 junior executives with blood.
Listen
I
to
mean,
that.
oh my
statement.
god,
You
yeah.
saying that is so absurd.
It's absurd, yeah.
It's like straight out of like a splatter comedy, a splatter horror film or something.
I mean, what's one of the last things Jones says? Like 1 minute you're on top world, next minute his secretary's running over your foot with a lawnmower. I mean, come on.
That's pretty great.
That's great. That is great.
And just their faces, like when they get shot with the blood, they're like,
So, and then when the next time they show them, they're all in they're just their undershirts. 'Cause
Yeah.
their shirts are all bloody.
and that was and like even Roger making jokes about it in the office.
Right.
Perfect.
You're right.
Perfect.
He's lost the foot just when he got it in the door.
And oddly enough, the strangest thing about the episode is you have all of that going on.
Right.
And the most interesting part of the episode is Sally being haunted by
like
Jean.
Jean, yeah. The- I know I harp on Betty a little bit too much because I get that she's like the housewife in the 60s who's not supposed to have any agency.
Yeah.
And she's been infantilized her whole life.
Yes.
But I feel like a lot of the viewers have said like that's not that's a thing is that she acts selfishly
That's one of the
so many times.
That's
You know
one
what I
of the
mean?
echoes of her father, though. She
Right.
was sheltered, and it was too late. Even Jean was saying, "You have to grow up" at the very end,
Right. She just
and he realized that.
yeah, she just acts really, really self-centeredly. You know what I mean? And it like when she was up, like yeah, she was a victim of Don's affairs, of course.
Mhm.
But the fact that she wouldn't engage with her kids during however long that was going on, it was half a season of the show.
And let's not forget she had an affair as well.
She did, yeah,
And like
no, she did.
whether or not she look,
It was-
you want to say she deserved it?
It was
She
it
deserved
was a revenge.
It was a
affair,
rebound
for
They
sure.
were separated. Fine. Adults, be adults. You know what I mean? That's totally fine. But she is not completely without sin,
Of course,
or
right.
without guilt. Her
That-
hands
that's
are
a fa-
dirty as well. You know?
That's a fair point. It was definitely revenge sex for sure.
And she didn't take the high road. So
Yeah, right.
and their marriage seems to be doing better because of everything
Right.
that's transpired, you know, and Dawn has been making an effort, and so is she to a certain extent. The way she handled Sally at the end of the episode, she's like, it's okay, you know, and like they were able to just talk it out and not having a fight, and her just being like, I'm going to bed, whatever. They actually sat there and talked it out, you know.
Has Don had an affair this season?
He has. The very first
The
episode.
the flight attendants.
They didn't
Right.
consummate it, but they went far enough.
They went far enough. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
He didn't pursue the girl, but he didn't stop her either.
It was like divine intervention almost, the alarm rang.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But yeah, I'm not sure we're supposed to really like Betty right now. There are times where it's like, man, I feel bad for this woman because she's kind of getting a lot dumped on her
Yeah.
from neighbors, from friends, from
Yeah.
her kids, from her parents, from her husband. But man, not right now.
And I love the fact that like the symbol that's haunting Sally is this materialistic toy
Right.
that is from the baby, and it's like
It's really
that's,
from her
that's,
mom,
that's
right?
it's
Her
really
mom.
from her mom.
It's another
Yeah.
thing that her mom's inflicting on
It's
her.
it's the trauma that our parents instill into us, and it's
Right.
just echoed through each character, and it is so brilliant and so well done. It makes you want to curse, man. It's so smart, and
It's great. Well, the simple fact that Betty can't pick up on what's bothering her daughter at
Yeah.
all. She just is jealous of her brother. Dude, anyone can see that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Dawn certainly knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I love it in a story when it ends or when it begins and ends in the same place.
Right.
Episode starts with Dawn and Sally in a room, ends with Dawn, Sally, and Jean. And Jean,
Yeah. It's Dawn's having to be the adult here.
in a way, Jean was in the room with them in the beginning too.
Sure.
Like his what do you want to call it?
His presence.
His presence was
Yeah.
kind of like a shadow over everything, and then it ends literally with like
His existence is what the issue was. Yeah.
And I don't want to call it his reincarnation, but in many ways,
To Sally, it is for sure.
it is.
Okay.
It is big time, and they're in his room with Jean, and
Right.
they're having a moment. Like we don't know what this is going to be. We don't know who he's going to be. This is a fresh start. You know.
Yeah, this is a new thing. Dawn handled that very well.
Yeah.
And Dawn handling it so well and being able to understand what the problem is so well really juxtaposes against how not getting it Betty is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? How or even caring. You know, you hate my dad. This is what we do. It's
I
my.
don't know if
She'll
she's-
get over it.
I don't know if she's capable of understanding. And that sounds horrible.
That's what,
sounds
no,
cruel.
I know.
I
It's,
don't know if she's capable of it.
we have a long run of a show here, right? We're going 7 seasons, and we're in season 3 now. I am hopeful as we progress. I don't want Betty just to be the heel the whole way through. You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Especially as crappy as Dawn can be sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that she grows up. I know that's a really reductive thing to say.
I know what you're saying though.
But I hope that she develops.
I mean-
a little more nuance to who she is as a person moving forward.
Dawn explained it to her a little bit at the end, and I feel like I don't know if he got through to her all the way, but she did seem to register what he was saying to her. She's
Right.
afraid.
But the way that she was looking at him all pouty is like,
Yeah.
dude, stop being a child and start being a parent.
I know.
You know what I mean? Again, I'm not trying to come across as like women be crazy or anything like that, because that's not the case at all. It's specifically Betty. Why are you being so stubborn about the needs of your children?
Yeah.
Even Dawn isn't, and Dawn can be a terrible dude sometimes.
Absolutely. And like he's got plenty of family trauma too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Which she has no idea about, which is
Right.
also insane. But
I don't know. Let us know what you think, guys. We've had a couple of comments about Betty, but let us talk to us about how are we being too harsh on Betty right now? Is there things we're not considering?
because we're willing to cut her. We understand
yeah.
she's in a horrible position.
Yeah, she's in a marriage that has not been great. We understand all of that, but at the same time, again, you have to look at the fact that this is a pampered, spoiled, rich girl her entire life.
And in terms of her as a person, in terms of her being
And
a mother,
she's just not taking those roles, the role of mother, seriously. I don't care about wife. Dawn's been a bad husband.
Yeah.
She can be as bad a wife as she wants. But as far as mother to those kids who are very much blameless,
Yeah.
is she taking that seriously enough? You know,
Bobby's neglected.
Bobby's not barely an entity on the show, and we know that when she was after when she was kind of like going through it with Dawn, that she was really letting Carla just completely raise the kids while she kind of laid around in bed and smoked and drank a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds very harsh and judgy, but
That's what happened.
Right. And at some point, it's got to be like, okay, we get it. This is horrible, but you've got to suck it up a little bit as a parent and put the kids a little bit higher in the forefront than I don't know what my life is now because I know my husband sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't get to, millions of people go through that, and you don't get to just think largely just about yourself, because she spent, like I said, we spent half a season with her,
Season 2, yeah.
kind of ignoring everything else. I can't deal with that right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. Dawn was like, what are we doing? I can't talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Why not? You have nothing else going on. You're not even being a mother.
And the impact of that, how it affects Dawn, how it affects Bobby, how it affects Sally, how it affects
Right.
everybody around her.
Understanding that Dawn was the bad guy. We're not letting Dawn off the hook. It's just that, what are you doing when it comes to, you're the one with the kids all the time.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
I know.
Because I feel like that's kind of reared its head again here with Sally's really traumatized about the fact you named the baby Gene. Well, that's what you do. He was my father. Great. Call him something else. You can still remember your father.
A middle name, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. There are a billion compromises, and you are so stubborn
I know.
about acknowledging anybody else's pain but your own.
You're right. You nailed it right in the head. That is her biggest flaw.
Right.
And It's the whole idea of like we're just gonna buy her a toy. We're just gonna
Yeah, I know, right? We'll buy her a toy and
say it's from the baby,
right.
and like
I
that shows how blind she is to the
right.
situation.
I appreciate the fact that she wanted to make it better between the two, but man, was she way off on what the issue was.
And it shows, man. Don's that guy. He steps up to any issue and solves it because he has to be the one.
Right.
At Sterling Cooper, he has to be the one. At home, he has to be the one.
He's gonna. Yeah, I kind of like I said with what happened to Sterling Cooper just now. Everything's so much up in the air.
He might be going to work for the Hilton.
You never know. Like there's a lot that's going to happen going forward, and I really hope that in the next episode we've changed the baby's name, and I can feel a little bit better about Betty.
Real quick before we end this, do you think Don goes to work for Hilton, or do you think that he brings Hilton to Sterling Cooper?
It sounds like he wants to bring Hilton to Sterling Cooper, but
it sounds like Hilton has a different idea.
Possibly, and let's also keep in mind that Hilton is big enough that they can have their own in-house advertising. That the idea of Don going to work for him isn't outside the possibility.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm at. Structurally, logistically, with the television show, I don't see how Don leaves Sterling Cooper. Just like I didn't see how he was actually going to move to London. So I don't think he does. The question is, does he get the opportunity to leave and decides not to at the 11th hour, or does it just not work out at Sterling Cooper with Hilton? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Because I got a little bit of a sense there, and guys, don't tell me if I'm wrong because we don't know what's happening at all. Right? That there was a little bit of like Don and Hilton have the same kind of type A personality.
Yeah.
That I feel like there's a chance of them butting heads a little bit because when he's like,
Oh,
"What do
yeah.
you want?
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you want me to say? I want you to give me one for free." I feel like that these are too similar of guys because we got that when they met, right? They
Yeah.
were talking about like how they both came up from nothing.
Nothing.
So these guys might be similar enough that this doesn't work out.
Blows up, and Don
That it,
recognizes that.
that it blows up,
Yeah.
right? Don might be the one to say screw you, and Hilton might be the one to say screw you.
Look, Don's got a lot going on too.
Yeah, he does.
And we know how this guy handles stress. So he might be headed towards another implosion.
I would love to see Don like screw it, I'm off to California for another 2
Every
months.
season, we need,
Yeah,
we need
he's
at
like,
least one
we need-
wandering Don.
we need a wandering Don. Where is he? He's in South Dakota right now, riding a motorcycle.
Big old beard.
In
or
the
something.
Badlands. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be amazing.
He's like renegade. Yeah.
It's great because we talked about this in the West Wing too. I love it when a showrunner or writer writes the show into a corner and how they get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we're at right now.
Right. You're in a situation like we have to move forward. It's kind of like in The Stand where, it's like everything's kind of getting back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do to get out of that? We set off a bomb and kill half the characters.
Great.
And then we move forward from there.
It's amazing.
Right?
This is on par with some of the best writing I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
this is great television.
It's
We
fantastic.
will catch you on the next one, guys.
See ya.